My name is Awadu, and I will be your opener for this evening. I hope this event finds you well. Welcome tonight to the Brothers and Sisters Vigil in memory of Ahmaud Arbery and other siblings whose lives have been stolen from the world due to oppressive systems. A year ago today, Ahmaud Arbery woke up and did not know that that day would be his last. He went for a jog and was gunned down by white men who decided that he was not worthy of life. Ahmaud Arbery was only 25 years old at the time of his murder. So tonight, we say his name and we remember his life and his legacy. Tonight, we also pay tribute to the lives of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Tony McDade, and the countless siblings whose names we may never know and never get to say. Tonight, we remember their lives. On campus, Vigil attendees are walking towards the hop to light candles in their honor. Please take this space to honor the lives that have been lost.
So today's February 23rd, and a year ago today, a young man close to our age, was robbed of a potentially long and prosperous life. Ahmaud was a prominent figure in his community, former football athlete, standout athlete. And was loved by his community, was loved by everyone who he knew. And one day, he woke up routinely, as he always would, and took a run around the neighborhood and never returned home. And I remember learning about the news because it didn't surface until months later, till a few months later. But just thinking that during a time where the whole entire world was hurting, people were losing family members. We were just entering quarantine. So COVID was and still is hurting a lot of our families. But I just remember thinking to myself and wondering, why is this still happening during a time where we should be healing most? During a time where healing should be taking place, and it's hard to put into words. It's I still get emotional to this day about it. That day, that awful day, was the first in a series of horrific and just horrible acts of violence against Black bodies. Breonna Taylor was murdered the month after, on March 13th. George Floyd was murdered 2 months after that, on May 25th. And as we all remember, that was the final straw. That was when the whole entire world, not just our generation, not just this country, but the whole entire world said enough is enough, and we're not having this anymore. This is a time of healing. So first I want to say rest in peace to Ahmaud. We all here are sending our love to him. Rest in peace Breonna Taylor, rest in peace George Floyd. And right now, we would like to pay our respects to them for 8 minutes and 46 seconds. So we will remain silent during that time and just collect our thoughts, send messages of love, and pray for healing, for hope, and pray for their families. So we would like to start that time now. It's one thing to watch someone on social media for 8 minutes, and it's for 8 minutes and 46 seconds to suffer. That's one thing to watch it through your phone from home. But just imagine how it felt in that moment, and the deeper issue in why is it okay for someone to be treated that way? Why is it okay for a black body to just be treated in such a regard for almost 9 minutes? And that is an issue deeper in itself that I hope and I pray that our generation, everyone who's standing right here, that we continue to condemn, and that we continue to fight to make sure that that never happens again to any of them. I have a few words here that I wrote for Ahmaud. And so this piece is titled Colors on a Quiet Georgia Street. A red lynching was held in white daylight, absent rope, truant aid. A blue flag flown above a battle prolonged for eons. Two assailants exhibiting prominent proof of chalky privilege while boasting blatant fear for black pigment. The pavement matched Ahmaud's skin before his t-shirt was soaked scarlet. 3 silver bullets canceled his bloodline, spawning blaring screams of justice across the world because a black boy in a colorless t-shirt jogged down a quiet Georgia street. If anyone has anything that would like to share, whether it was what they felt in that moment, how they feel today, and thoughts moving forward, the floor is now open, and please share any of your thoughts.
So there's a lot that I can say, but at the same time, I'm filled with so much emotion, so many words, but at the same time, I'm at a loss for words. So to be honest, I'm not really quite sure what to say, but all I know is we as a world need to do better. We need more love, less hate, and it's 2021, and no one should be walking around with the burden of having to deal with fear, going about their daily life, or loss. I just want to quickly share a poem that I really enjoy by Maya Angelou and a few lines of a song, Me Against the World by Tupac, that I think would really resonate at the current moment. A free bird leaps on the back of the world. A free bird leaps on the back of a wind and floats downstream till the current ends and dips his wing in the orange sun rays and dares to claim the sky. But a bird that stalks down his narrow cage can seldom see through the bars of rage. His wings are clipped and his feet are tied, so he opens his throat to sing. The caged bird sings with a fearful trill of things unknown, but longed for still. And his tune is heard in the distant hill, for the caged bird sings of freedom. The free bird thinks of another breeze, and the trade wind soft through the sighing trees, the fat worms waiting on the dawn-bright lawn, and he names the sky his own. But a caged bird stands on the grave of dreams, his shadows shout in a nightmare scream, his wings are clipped, his feet are His feet are tied, so he opens his throat to sing. The caged bird sings with a fearful trill of things unknown but longed for still. And his tune is heard in the distant hill. The caged bird sings for freedom. I know it seems hard sometimes, but remember one thing. Through every dark night, there's a bright day after that. So no matter how hard it gets, stick your chest out, keep your head up, and handle it. Thank you.
And so as more people gather their thoughts, we have a board in the back that there's Sharpies on there as well. And the use of that is last summer while protesting back in Hudson County, Jersey, we would ask City Hall to hang banners of people who we know personally or who affected us most that have lost their life to any and all forms of oppression. So one by one, beginning with the back row, please feel free to grab a Sharpie and whether it's Ahmaud's name, Breonna's name, George's name, or anyone that you know personally, feel free to write their name, a message of love, a message of hope. And, you know, with that, it's imperative that we keep saying their names, as the ledge in front of us says, and to make sure that we never forget Ahmaud, we never forget Breonna, we never forget George, and we never forget all of our brothers and sisters who have suffered from vicious forms of oppression. And yeah, just please never give up the fight, never give up hope, and please keep saying their names. So yeah, I'll go ahead and sign first, and then everyone from the one by one from the back row.
I'm only at 24. I'm at Dartmouth, and I don't know what I'm doing with my life. But after seeing that first explode on social media, it wasn't even on the news or anything. It was just on social media, Instagram. When I saw that, I just immediately thought of all my track friends, my best friends, my school, and I just can't imagine having to set up phone banks or having to look up district attorneys for them to do their job. And I know the mothers and family members of the victims, what they're going through is so unnecessary. And so many people say we're the new generation, but the very fact that Kyle Rittenhouse, a 17-year-old, took it upon himself to go to a protest and shoot people, I'm trying to instill that into my little sister, your history classes, there's more to it. And I'm trying to constantly tell my friends yo, that's messed up. That's fucked up. And I kind of feel like I can never protect them or understand their pain, but I'm sure gonna be there for anything that they need, because that's the most I can do as an 18-year-old. Thank you.
I think everybody's reflecting on what they saw last summer. I think the visuals always say more than, just reading a headline. And we saw a lot last summer, and not just last summer, we saw a lot ever since things have become a lot more publicized and you get a view into the lives of other people. So last summer, for those that don't know, I'm from North Carolina. I went to an undergraduate institution where 4 freshmen, students, started the sit-in movement on February 1st, 1960 in Greensboro. That's where all my family's from. And I have family members who have seen the ebbs and flows of movements in this country well before I was around or my parents. So I called my grandfather after I saw George Floyd. And I asked him, what he had to say. Because I think we miss a lot of wisdom. There's a whole generational gap. History, things that we can only read in books, but there are people's real lived experiences that we miss. And a lot of us don't have that opportunity to talk to those who've actually gone through things. So one of the things that stood out to me that he said was, and I just learned this, he said he was part of the first class of people, black people, to integrate a small community college in North Carolina. And he said for 3 months straight, he feared for his life, but not much. I mean, he was called the N-word every single day for 3 months to go get an education at community college. And so I asked him, how did that make you feel to actually go through that for 3 months? And he said, I actually thought I was lucky because I saw people every day on TV who were going through much more to get an education like me. And so it just got me thinking that immediately the situation became not about Ahmaud or Breonna or George, but it became about all of us because life is for the living. And their flame is already gone, but all of ours are still going right now. And every single person has a purpose in this world, whether you know it or not, small, big, or indifferent. And, my granddad's purpose was to raise his family, to love, and to ultimately start a track of something different and having a vision for what that would be. And I think we all have an opportunity to think about our purpose and not compare it to anybody else's because there's a lot of back and forth about, just with us about, what folks' roles should be. Should I come to a vigil? Should I become a part of this movement, the protest, and judgment that actually makes progress harder because we're putting our expectations on others about what we want to see. I think ultimately a good majority of folks in this world have good intentions, but we miss it because we expect for their actions to look like what we want. And discourse becomes hard because we see hatred in others. And it's hard to understand why people do the things that they do. So for years, seeking understanding comes with a price, patience, time. I don't think any of us is really over 30. So imagine being 75 and seeing the world and how it's changed, or not. But knowing that when you get to that point and your flame goes, that you can be proud of what it is that you've done with your time. And not that anybody else has anything to say about your life, but you, and that you enjoyed it and you lived it because nothing's promised to anybody. Whether you're in your 20s like Ahmaud, or you're George and you're in your 40s, and you have all these nice plans and you're thinking, I don't know, I'm kind of scared because I don't know what people are going to say about that. But I think we have an opportunity to just do it and to let the people that are supposed to help us to get to where we know we need to be. And that will ultimately collectively help us find and create the world that we want to see. Everybody's not going to love you, and we're always going to have people that are going to hate us, regardless. But you can't let that stop you. Like, it didn't stop my grandfather for 3 months. He said he felt lucky. And so as we reflect on the fact that we still have life amidst COVID and oppression and all these things, how lucky are we to still be here and to have an opportunity to do something and to not allow fear to keep us from doing what we know we can do. So that's all I'll say.
Is it off? Thank you for those remarks, Zach. Exactly what was just said. It is up to us to do the absolute most that we can with the lives that we have left, and to keep these flames going within us, and to make sure that we keep fighting, and that we make sure that people never forget moments like this, but that we do our absolute best to make sure that they never happen again, so that the next generation hopefully doesn't have to do what we're doing here, and remember our brothers and sisters and all the people who are no longer here anymore, and who had all these dreams and hopes and aspirations that we have stripped from them. So as a closing remark, as we exit, thank you all for coming here. Thank you so much. Thank you for never forgetting. Thank you for sending love and prayers to Ahmaud and the rest of the families who are hurting and have been suffering without their loved one. And again, rest in peace, Ahmaud. Rest in peace, Breonna. Rest in peace, George. And rest in peace, everyone who are no longer here with us anymore. And as we exit, again, feel free to leave a message of love and hope on the board. And thank you so much. We can start from the back if you haven't signed already. And then you guys can blow out the candles and then put it back in the box. Thank you. No, put it in the box.